Welcome, everybody. AJ here again with 80s Kids Wrestling. My review of episode 4 of season 2 of Unreal. I've watched all 5 episodes, but I'm going to give you the season 4 review. The guys and I are going to come together and do a whole first 5 episodes. There are going to be some more that are going to be dropping later in the summer, but we'll break down all 5 episodes and episode 5 the next time we get together. So, a little bit of a pet peeve from in all honesty, haven't seen Dusty's for for episode 3 yet, but a little bit of a pet peeve of something that has happened as an LA Knight fan, seeing LA get reamed out during the Money in the Bank match. When he had some faults in that match, no doubt, but so did Seth. But Seth wasn't getting reamed out like LA Knight was, and then you're going to see something in season 5 where someone has a botch fest and they don't get reamed out. So I'm a little upset by that. But anyways, we're going to move on. We start off episode 4 with Paul Heyman, and they ask him what a work is. And Paul first says, I plead the fifth. And then he goes into, you know what? I'm really not a fan of the show because I came up in the industry, or I grew up in this industry, or I'm a son of a lawyer. Like, who gives a shit? There's a lot of people who are pieces of shit that their parents were lawyers, or even their lawyers and they're pieces of shit. Yeah, I'm not going to, yeah, it's for something for another time. But, he brings up all of this stuff and, the secrecy of the business. And then I'm thinking the people that you've championed the most in your life, especially the one in the business, especially the ones who are in charge of WWE right now, are the people that tore down that damn fourth wall to begin with. The curtain call, that's Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, all of those people, CM Punk with the pipe bomb. All of these people that Paul Heyman is championed throughout the years are the people that you can credit for tearing down the fourth wall. So I don't want to hear another damn thing out of his mouth about secrecy about the business. But plus there's just too much information that goes out now. It's not worth it. You got to adapt and adjust, which is really what the majority of this episode was about. And it was really great to see. And I'll get into more of that later, but what would really be a great documentary is a third-party documentary about the downfall of ECW and how bad Paul Heyman mismanaged that. I've been wanting that for years. You're not going to get it out of WWE because Paul Heyman is there as I drop my pen. You're not going to get it because he's there and he's not going to tell you the truth. Straight up. It needs to be somebody who's going to look at everything, look at the finances. I mean, Paul Heyman cheated out wrestlers in ECW, guys who literally broke bones, did all of these crazy stunts, that pioneered a lot of these crazy stunts. Paul Heyman cheated them out of hundreds of thousands of dollars and pretty much kept it for his own. I've read a lot about it. A lot of that's been documented, but I would love just a full out whole documentary article, whatever, about how Paul Heyman screwed up ECW and screwed a lot of people in the process. But we're never going to get that from WWE as long as Paul Heyman is there. Anyways, they start talking, kind of setting the seeds for the Seth injury. That's about to happen at Saturday night's main event. But before then, we're going to talk about Jelly Roll. Now, personally, I like Jelly Roll. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a humble guy. He is a guy who fully 100% appreciates and understands where he came from to where he is now. He's not going to be a guy that's going to blow his all of his millions of dollars on something stupid. He's going to be appreciative. He's going to give back to the community. He's already doing all these things, and I love Jelly Roll. I'm not a big country music fan, or really at all. I probably could name 1 or 2 Jelly Roll songs off the top of my head, but as a person, everything I've seen, the interviews I've seen, where his heart is, 100% Jelly Roll as a person. As an artist, everything has came from being in prison to where he is now and everything. It's great. And then, they kind of talk about what happened in 2023, and he gets in a shoving match with Dirty Dom. And he's been a long time wrestling fan, and that ignites his passion for wrestling. And he wants to get involved. The only downside is this guy's over 400 pounds. Like, he's more teetering on 500 at the time. And it was great to see how something can motivate somebody. And that's something I can relate to. You probably can't tell, but I was north of 270 pounds in high school. I've been on my own weight loss journey and still struggling with it to this day. I've dropped from about my senior year of high school to now, a total of 80 pounds. I'm around that 200, 190 range. In the winter, it's more a little bit north of 200 because, you don't sweat it out as much as working out, not to get into all the schematics of all of that stuff. So I understand something. My motivation was I just hated the way I look, hated it, hated the energy, lack of energy. I hated everything about myself and I wanted to change it. So I changed it. And good for Jelly Roll. He had something he wanted to change it. And my God, that guy put the work in. Really, I mean, that guy did it for what, 13, 15 weeks? He put the work in. And I appreciate that WWE appreciated that about him and they took notice and they rewarded him at the end of the day. Now, that's more in the next episode, not to give too much away, but they kind of build into it. And you kind of see his transformation now as he's losing weight, he's losing the pounds, he's getting in the ring, he's taking the bumps, and he's wanting to be cautious with all of that stuff. And I completely understand that from that perspective. So I really do appreciate that about Jelly Roll. Now, on to what they did, pairing him with Randy, I thought was smart. Going up against Drew and Logan, I thought that was smart as well. Just my big issue with it, with any sort of celebrity thing. Now, Logan Paul can work, and you've gotten a lot of great out of Logan Paul. No complaints about the guy as a character. No complaints about the guy as a wrestler. You've gotten a lot out of it. Bad Bunny, what little we've seen, he's been great. But, even though I love the Jackass crew, Johnny Knoxville was a one-off. You can go on down the line with, Lawrence Taylor was a one-off. Jay Leno and, David Arquette, all that stuff that happened at WCW. They don't elevate people. That didn't make Randy look better. It didn't make Logan Paul look better. It didn't make Drew McIntyre look better. It was what it was. I will say this, it didn't make him look worse. In seeing how humble Jelly Roll is, like just being completely appreciative of having the opportunity and how the new WWE superstars really embraced him and welcomed him and accepted him into their fold, which was sweet and nice because you've just heard so many stories in the past of if you didn't shake everybody's hand, you didn't do this and do that. My God, you dripped a little bit of chicken on someone's bag by accident. You got kicked out of the locker room for 2 years. Plus the guy that did that's a fucking psycho. Thank God he's dead. I know it's real rough to say, but there's this. It's good to see people do that. And I actually want to circle back to the start of the show and something that just popped in my head because of a little rant that I just went on. They were talking about, because we're going to go back into the Seth part of it, and they really lean into the Seth injury and all that stuff. And they're talking about what's a great work. They could not have given you three of the worst examples in wrestling of what is a work. The Kevin Nash leg thing. By the way, in 2001, when WCW was on its last legs, if not on its last toe at that point, when that story happened. Bad example. Khali squishing Rey Mysterio's skull. Frankly, I didn't even know that happened. And then you gave us the Vince McMahon going into a limo and blowing up, having all of us thinking he's dead, just to turn around the next night. And he's addressing everybody because Chris Benoit killed his entire family and plus himself. Like you couldn't have, and it's funny, like this is done by Peyton Manning's company, okay? Omaha Productions, I believe. And they have, like I've heard George, they do the quarterback series and the receiver series on Netflix, and I love it, and it's great. And I've heard George Kittle talk about it. He goes, if it was, I would have a lot of skepticism if it was any other company but Peyton's, because they really take care of you. Well, my God, they did not take care of WWE here. That was awful. Three awful examples, with the last one being by far the worst. By the way, Vince McMahon should never show up in this, even if you're blowing his ass to hell. But especially people are now going to look up and like, oh my God, that didn't even matter because we're ruining that because Benoit killed his entire family plus himself. Like, what the hell? Like, did no one look through this shit? Like, just continuity things. And there's another thing I'll bring up later. And then you have Paul Heyman again talking about, well, 31 years ago, Sandman, we made everyone think he was blind. He never left his house for 5 weeks, and then all this stuff. And that was 1994, and I'm thinking, I was watching wrestling then. I don't even remember that happening. So unless you're from Philadelphia, you're probably the only one that's ever told that to Paul Heyman. If frankly, if you've ever told that to Paul Heyman, which I doubt that's happened, just throwing that out there. But we'll get into the set part of it. And genius idea, really is a genius idea. And they get into that more in the next episode, a little bit of a teaser of the fake injury and how we can build something for SummerSlam. And it was genius. I fell for it. A lot of people fell for it, even though you pretty much kind of knew he was coming back. But there was, all this uneasiness with all of it going around. They did a great job with it. And I love the fact that they did not tell everybody. They only told a select few of people that night. And then everything they did that night was incredible. LA Knight was in on it. LA Knight did great. Yeah, I guess in a way kind of redeemed himself in everyone else's eyes, and how he handled all of that. I found that to be awesome. The way the crowd reacted, the way the doctors, the officials, like they didn't tell their personnel to like the very last stinking moment. It was great. I thought they handled it really, really well. And I love seeing how the sausage is made when it comes to this stuff. It was good to see that again. And again, LA Knight played it off. I have one critique, though. There was one moment they just interviewed LA Knight, and he's like, "Oh, oh shit, they now you see this, and oh, they really think it's real." And then the next they cut to Ellie's in his gear, no shirt on, and you got some rando just going, "Hey, can we turn the cameras off?" Like something tells me that like in post production, that spot, that 4 second clip is supposed to be like 15 seconds before. And frankly, probably should have just taken it out, because I hate those and those behind the scenes, like, hey, don't show this, or they'll put their hands up in front of the camera and they do, fuck you, get out of the way. A little background for me, I've done some stringer work for NFL Films before. I was always told, if someone tells you that and their name is not Roger Goodell, tell them to get out of the way or just ignore them and act like nothing happened. And frankly, that never happened to me in my short time working, a little bit of stuff working with NFL Films. But I thought they did a great job kind of showing all the behind the scenes stuff, and the links that they would go to with that was great. Then we start talking about EO Scott. You really don't get much of a background of EO. They kind of really like scan through it in about 30 seconds, but you really get the genesis of who she is. She likes to take risk. And frankly, she's the best women's wrestler they got. Her and Rhea Ripley are the two best. And I understand now. I understood then. I really understand now why they work so well together. They're really good friends. They're the best wrestlers. They have great chemistry, and just kind of seeing like how hard she works, the work she does in the gym. A 5 minute handstand, good God, I can't even do it for 50 seconds, let alone five. That was pretty impressive. But she's willing to take risk. And, you hear the genesis of the first trash can spot, but now that they've done it 3 straight war games, I think it's getting a little too vanilla, a little too predictable. I think they need to change that up. It's all the war game stuff altogether. But they really kind of set up a lot of stuff with her. And then they do a great job bringing Naomi back into the fold. They talk about the match with Jade. It was a great match there at Evolution. And then she does the cash in. I mean, EO and Rhea put on a banger. It was a great match. It's funny, of the top 10 matches that WWE had in 2025, EO and Ripley were probably involved in 4 of them. That's how good they were, and that's how great they were, and why, as I drop my pen again, why I'm such a big fan of both of those, and why I'm always going to root for them. They featured Rhea last year. She's a little bit featured this year. They've featured EO a lot on this season. So it's good to see them get a lot of shine. And it's good to see that they're both great people, especially EO. That whole locker room loves her. And she's fantastic. And I love Naomi's story. She stood up for herself in a difficult spot. Not many people can do that. I've had to do that on a couple of occasions, but there's been other occasions where I haven't. So I understand that. And to see the locker room fully appreciate her and celebrate her for cashing in and getting that was great. Really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great touching the story that they told with Jay just beating the hell out of her, and then she comes up beaten up, and gets the belt and whatnot in that triple threat, or makeshift triple threat. Thought that was great. I thought they did a really good job, kind of highlighting everybody there, telling really good stories, and it came off. Not a lot of the things that they've talked about in Unreal so far came over well over here. I'm thinking, you guys need to interview fans about about what you just put on, because we've got a different opinion than that, or the booze in the building or the lack of any reaction will tell you no one gave a shit. So there's some of that, and then we get kind of more of the before we get more into the Seth Leadham, they talked about, this women's evolution and the evolution pay-per-view, and like how we really want to highlight women. And I'm thinking, well, shit, you went 7 years in between evolution pay-per-views. You showed Becky from 2018, and now you got 2025, and we got a little bit of Becky and Lyra and Bailey. And Bailey came off as a really sympathetic figure, because they failed to mention in the first episode that they knocked Bailey off to bring Becky in. It's good to see Becky have a heart and actually want to, like, say, hey, you guys can get rid of me here. You can have Bailey here. You don't have to bring me back. Some of that was, she's been told social media knows it's her, and she wants to kind of protect things a little bit, but also she felt bad for Bailey. But Bailey's a pro, and Bailey understands it. Good for her. So they put her in that Evolution pay-per-view. That match they had was great. Frankly, match to match, bell to bell, Evolution is one of the top 3 pay-per-views of 2025 in WWE. That was a hell of a pay-per-view. Can't fault anything that they did. It was fantastic. That match was great. The cash-in was great. They did a really good job with everything. I know not everyone's a fan of women's wrestling, but I thought women's wrestling right there was at its peak. Good storytelling, good matches, great surprise finishes. I mean, I felt watching it the same way the people in the back did. Thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. So we get a little bit more, kind of a background on Lyra. I didn't really touch on it much in the first episode, but you understand her background and how hard she's fought and how much she appreciates where she is. And I got a major appreciation for her for that as well. And then we get more of the Seth setup, which eventually leads into episode 5. So that's kind of my review. I thought there was a lot of good behind the scenes, behind the curtain stuff, behind in Gorilla, what was going on. You get a much better appreciation for everybody, how they can sell things, how they can quote unquote work the boys. And then you get a better appreciation for all the women, Io, Rhea, Naomi, Becky, Bailey, and Lyra, or Bird Girl, as Dusty and Clint call her. So you grow to appreciate people. And again, when we criticize what they do, 80% of that is on creative and is on the booking. 20% of that is on the performance, and it's never personal. It never is. We're just reacting this is our Grey's Anatomy. This is our soap opera. And just like if you don't like something in Grey's Anatomy, you can criticize it. If we don't like it in professional wrestling, we're going to criticize it. You do good things, we say nice things. You do bad things, we say bad things. It's not personal, it's business. And but it's good to see the behind the scenes and see that these people are good people, and how they treat others, which is big for me. It's how you treat others that can't help you or won't elevate you, or however that phrase goes. I know I just botched the hell out of it. That says a lot about who you are, and you can tell right then and there. And right now, there's a lot of people in WWE that treat everybody the right way, and that makes me appreciate them. So that's my episode 4 review. All the guys will be together. We'll review episode 5, then kind of a whole breakdown of the 5 episodes. That will be when we see you guys next. So have a great day.